Hello, hello, hello! Can I have your attention, please? Hello, I am Douglas Younger, and I am president of the Laurel Highlands Historical Village Society. Well, welcome all here, and let me welcome you all to this event. Thank you for being here. I applaud you, all of you, for coming here to show your support for the veterans. Now, support isn't the right word. Anyone can say, yeah, I support you. No, this is much more than that. This is a thank you, a deep and profound expression of gratitude and appreciation. Appreciation for sacrifices made. These brave men and women have put their lives on hold. They have risked their lives and well-being. They have sacrificed time with family, loved ones, sacrificed careers, educations in the private sector for one thing, one valiant purpose, to defend and protect the United States of America. So let us put politics aside for the moment. Honor those who have carried the sword of freedom in harm's way to preserve the liberties we enjoy today. Now, before we get this thing rolling, I'd like to announce one thing. This group has been given the go-ahead for the creation of the Laurel Highlands Veterans Memorial to be located in Kingston Rundale. This will be a fitting tribute to those who gave all in defending this country, and also be a venue of healing for those of you who are still trying to find your way in the world. I'd like to welcome the students from Conemaugh Valley. Hello. Thank you for coming here. You kids out there, feel free to walk around and talk to the veterans. Get their stories. Every year we lose thousands of veterans, and every veteran lost is a story lost. Talk to them, learn from their experiences, learn from their past. That way you can preserve their memories, and their sacrifices will not be made in vain. And another thing I want to mention is 22 veterans take their lives every day. This is 22 too many. For someone who has miraculously survived more than a couple attempts to punch his own ticket, I urge you, do not give up. You are not alone. There are people out there who are willing to reach their hands out to you. They're just say, I want your help. And we will have people here who can help you with that. So, right now, I want to introduce you, our Executive Director, Ronald Shawley. Give him a hand.
I want to thank Rocky's Tavern for helping us with breakfast today. Absolutely great job. I appreciate it. The veterans appreciate it. This is our first inaugural veterans event. Hopefully we're going to have it next year. As Doug had mentioned, we got permission from CSA to build a memorial at Hingston Dam, which will incorporate all wars and conflicts in our American history. If I have it correct, I'm starting with the Civil War.
Correct.
Right? And moving onward to the conflicts we have today. We have had some vandalism on our trail you all know about. Just to let you know, the people who did the damage have paid the price. Okay, they were found guilty. It went kind of hard to deny, but we also got a lot of benches donated up there, so we continue in that effort. Also, we're doing an ongoing food drive in cooperation with Josh here from the Veterans Association at Cambria County. We've identified a major problem in our county. Veterans who have PTSD, who have the veterans that are elderly, are shut in. They can't get out. So the food banks are saying to us, they have to come to us to get the food. Well, they can't leave their house. So what we do, we gather the food, we round it up, and we take it to the veterans in Cambria County who need that help and that food. I just want to thank you all for coming. Keep it in mind that if you have any veterans who you feel are deserving of recognition next year, let us know, okay? I want to thank the politicians who are here, and again, like Doug said, this is not a political event. This is an event to honor and remember the veterans who are serving, who have served, and those veterans that we have lost, okay, throughout the years. At this time, I would like to introduce our Secretary and Treasurer, Patty, and she is going to introduce our guest MC for today.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about Doug Lingenfelder before we get started. Doug is currently a consultant for an international company in Florida. Since his military retirement, he has served as a veterans advocate for the Republican Party, the Cambria County President Commissioner, and an adjunct professor at Pennsylvania Highlands Community College, where he taught both computers and Spanish. Doug retired after 30 years in the Air Force, having served our nation in positions from chemist to pilot with more than 3,500 hours of flying, many of which were in special operations. Retired Colonel Langenfelder is a survivor of the 9/11 attack on the Pentagon. He has served as a combat commander in the Philippines and returned to Richland after working as the defense attaché for the United States ambassador in Argentina. Doug was a commander 12 of his last 14 years in the Air Force. Commissioner Langenfelder has also been active in scouting. He was the chairman of the 2011 Boy Scouts Spring Jamboree at the Johnstown Airport. Furthermore, he has hosted the Washington, D.C. Air Force Presidential Honor Guard at Richland Days for the past 6 years and sponsored Veterans Christmas Tours of Washington, D.C. for the past 5 years. Doug's wife, Terry, is a retired Air Force major and has helped protect young children as a court-appointed special advocate for Cambria County and is currently writes for the Johnstown Magazine. Derek, their eldest son, is working for the Department of Defense firm in Virginia, and Haley is a sophomore at Penn State University main campus. So, with no further explanation, Colonel Langenfelder.
Well, without further ado, what we'd like to do is have the colors presented by the Conemaugh Valley Marine Corps League, Detachment 287, and our national anthem will be sung by J.R. McAfee. So, honor guard, present, colors.
Detail, sport, arms, forward, march. Detail, halt. Left, face. Present, arms.
No, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Rifleman, shoulder, arms. Flagman, post colors.
Post. take your seats.
Detail. Right face. Forward march.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now have the invocation of Calvin Hart. Calvin?
Indeed, it is a pleasure for the Laurel Highlands Historical Village to put on this event, which is called Tavern County Veterans Recognition Event. And I'd like to say something. This event not only represents veterans, but it represents the children of veterans, the different family members of the veterans, the son, daughter, whoever they may be. So it's a large group. And we need to stop and give honor to God because somehow all these events that make up this, that bring about this event coming about, is God is still working. He's still working on us. He's still working on our family members. And so, and our God, He's the God of promises. So we need to search in our Bibles to find out what are these promises that God has made that is going to bring peace into our lives. And we just have to thank the Heavenly Father for the things that He does. And there are a lot of people that don't agree with a lot of this stuff that is going on. Like, for instance, I prepared a story, but it's a little long. It's 6 pages, so
That's all right. That's all right.
So we're going to thank our Heavenly Father for things that He's done, things that we don't know He's doing. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you, Calvin.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right. We're all awake and together here. Thanks so much for coming out today. I'd like to recognize a few people here, but first off, I'd like to recognize our Heavenly Father for giving us rain this morning. If we were getting married, this would be the luckiest day of our lives. So rain's good. First off, if you're a veteran and you can, please stand and be recognized.
All right.
All right.
Thank you all for your service, and that's what this morning and today is all about. The next group I'd like to recognize is the Conemaugh Valley Junior High National Honor Society. 8th and 9th graders that we've got here, please stand up. And it would be remiss of me if I did not recognize our politicians. Senator Langerholtz, Representative Barvin, Commissioners Smith and Chernisky. Please stand up. But today is a day about veterans. Now, I'd like to put this in perspective. This is a big month. You see, the Armed Forces Day is going to be the 20th of May. That's 1 week from today. A lot of people don't always recognize the Armed Forces Day. Each of the services like to recognize their birthdays and that. Marines, your birthday is when November? I always have to give the Marines a little grief with the Marine Corps League. And just for your information, I am a member of the Marine Corps League. Wonderful group of folks. How about a nice round of applause for this group? And the other big day, of course, this month will be Memorial Day on the 29th. So we've got a couple individuals that want to recognize our veterans, and we'll begin with Senator Wayne Langerholm.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate the chance to come down here and interact and meet with so many wonderful people. I'm honored to be here presenting a flag to be flown at the local VFW in memory of all Franklin veterans. I'm proud to present certificates honoring those veterans here today, and I'm humbled to stand in such esteemed company of those who selflessly gave for us. We must never, never forget the brave sacrifices of so many men and women who have gone before us in order that we may be here today in peaceful assembly. We must never forget them and always honor their memory. Thank you.
And the next individual is already on his way. Representative Brian Barbin. I think Brian's done this a time or two.
Thank you, Doug. I'm always honored to be part of people that sacrifice so that other people can be free. I'm here to give a special recognition to families. And I think that's the thing everybody ought to remember most, is that yesterday we had Military Spouse Appreciation Day, because it really does take a spouse holding things together at home to make sure that that soldier in the field can be the best he can be. Same thing's true about your military families. Families are always the ones that worry. They're always the ones that are there taking care of the details until you're done. I know what it means a little more today because my son will be deployed a couple months, and my nephew will graduate from Fort Benning in June. So I want to leave one thing with, especially with the kids that are here. When I was just a lawyer, and before I ever thought about running for office, I didn't really know that much about my family. I knew the ones that were close to me. Most people only know what their father did, what their grandfather did. You might hear a couple stories about your great-grandparents, but it's important not to forget who they were. Like, if you don't forget, it will remind you in times that are difficult that there is something way more hard to do than what you currently have in face of you as a crisis. Like, I have a great-grandfather I found out. He was the sheriff of Huntington County. He was hurt in the first battle of the Civil War. He ended up being the sheriff of Huntington County 40 years later. He never gave up. And medically discharged within a month of the war starting. I had another uncle who was killed. My father was named after him. You need to remember those things, because it will end up giving you strength when you need it. It's God and country. God is inside you. When you look in the mirror, you can see him. If you have a tough decision to make, you know what the right decision is. And it's because God's inside of you, looking back at you in the mirror, saying, this is right or this is wrong. Do what's right, and do it because the people that came before you did what was right. They don't have to be famous. They just have to believe in God and have to do what they're supposed to do. So today, I'm here to say thank you to the Getsky family. Thank you to the Zimmerman family. Thank you to the Shawley family. Thank you to Phil Riftak. Thank you. Thank you to Douglas Yonker. Thank you to Ryan Perlosky. Thank you to Specialist David McBee. Thank you to Lance Corporal Melanie Barger. And thank you to Christopher Golby's family for their sacrifice. We'll present a flag to Rockies today because I've been here many times, and the motorcycle fundraisers that they do matter because they pull this community together. And we're also we're giving a flag today to Ronald J. Shawley for his service and for his remembrance of veterans. Thank you.
Just so you know, Senator Langerholtz is actually the Vice Chairman of the Senate Transportation Committee, as well as a member of the Appropriations, Judiciary, Game and Fisheries, Local Government, and Aging and Youth Committees. Very busy man. He just took office this January. Thank you for all that you do in the area. And Representative Barbin has actually been at this since 2008. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian. And has been on more committees than he's capable of listing on this piece of paper. So both of them very active in our community. We sure appreciate both of them showing up today. Thank you both. Okay. Let's see here. It's a day of history. You know, the Laurel Highlands Historical Village. You heard Representative Barbin talk about history. You heard the Senator talk about a little of the history and the importance of recognizing those that have gone before us. The bottom line is that every success you have in life is only because of those who have gone before you. And so remembering history, I like to call it a refresh factor, is important. It becomes part of who you are, and if you understand where you've been and how you got there, a lot of times you don't have to make the same mistakes, and you can build off of the successes and strengths of the past. And so I've been asked to speak a little about history today, which is an extremely dangerous thing when you've got Marty Kuhar in the audience. A well-known expert on history, but you know what? I'm going to give it a shot anyhow. First off, I am so proud to be a part of Cambria County. You see, I wasn't born here. I chose to be here. And it's great to be in this county because the pride we have in our military, people like Buzz Wagner, who was the first United States ace of World War II, grew up right here, along with Sergeant Michael Strang, one of 6 men who raised our flag over Iwo Jima during the hard-fought battle in the Pacific Theater. It is people like these who have fashioned our region. You'll hear more about our region when both Marty and Tom get up and talk about their programs and what they do for veterans. But today I want to take a moment to recognize the United States' involvement in the Pacific Theater during World War II, and specifically Jimmy Doolittle. For those of you that may not know Jimmy Doolittle, because it's April of this year, it's now been 75 years since the Doolittle raid over Tokyo. And our history books don't always catch up and maintain what is significant about our history. Today it's all about the military, and today it's going to be about then Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle and the raid over Tokyo. You've heard about the surprise attack on Pearl Harbor by the Japanese on December 7, 1941. You may even know about the victory in Europe. That was yesterday's anniversary. VE, Europe, May 12, 1945. And I'm sure you've read about the August nuclear bombings of mainland Japan where on August 6th of 1945, Little Boy was detonated over Hiroshima, and on August 9th, Fat Man was exploded over Nagasaki, both of which they believe saved hundreds of thousands of American lives. But in 1941, the Allied victory over the Axis powers was not a sure deal. The attack on Pearl Harbor proved to us that we could no longer be an isolationist nation. Early in 1942, the war in the Pacific was not going well. Just as our allies endured the brunt of the Nazi advance in Europe, China and the United States faced the Imperial Japanese advance in the Pacific theater. So by early 1942, while our ships were still being repaired, the United States did not have much to be excited about in the Pacific theater. To this day, bullet holes still remain in buildings on Hickam Air Force Base. When you have a chance to touch these scars or stand on the Arizona Memorial, you can feel the urgency with which our nation took to these predators. It was within the backdrop that 75 years ago in April, our nation called upon then Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Doolittle to fly a brazen mission on the homeland of the Imperial Japanese. Tokyo was their target. Why do I want to talk about one military mission that happened 75 years ago? Because these 80 men flew bombers off an aircraft carrier, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, traveling more than 650 miles to bomb Tokyo. Now, the mission was actually supposed to launch 400 miles from Tokyo. More about that in a minute. Then hoped to have enough fuel to land in mainland China. They gave our nation something to be proud of, something to be hopeful for, something to build upon for the future successes and the survival of the free world. You do not hear about the brutality toward Chinese women, along with the vicious murders of Chinese men. And now you rarely hear about the ovens that burn millions of Jews, to include more than 1.5 million children. Why? Quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, it's not politically correct. Well, today we're here to remind ourselves of why we must have a strong military. This isn't about being politically correct. And we need the support of our civilians. We need to be able to look at the cold, hard reality of our world. Nobody wanted to believe the reports about the cremation ovens in Europe, or the possibility that Hawaii might be attacked. I've stood in the middle of a Nazi concentration camp. I've touched the bullet holes at Hickam. And I've stood on the silent Arizona Battleship Memorial while oil slowly seeped out of the battleship graveyard beneath me. These facts can't be changed. And now there's one solitary Doolittle Raider left from the 80 men who gave hope to our nation when we were in need of spiritual and mental uplifting. Our solitary Doolittle survival flew with Medal of Honor awardee Jimmy Doolittle 75 years ago and personally participated in the bombing of Tokyo. Lieutenant Colonel Richard Cole is currently 100 years old and was General Doolittle's co-pilot for a suicide mission our nation asked the Doolittle Raiders to attempt. He still remembers the audacity of the aircraft commander who decided to take off from the aircraft carrier Hornet more than 150 nautical miles early once the task force, the Hornet's task force, was spotted by a Japanese trawler. When I met Jimmy Doolittle, then superintendent of the Air Force Academy solemnly exchanged salutes and discussed the soccer game in which Jimmy Doolittle's great-granddaughter was playing. They did not discuss war, or politics, or the bad actors of the world. They talked about living. very reason that both of them went to war. Nobody wants peace in our world more than combat veterans. When I was the combat commander in the Philippines hunting Abu Sayyaf terrorists, we fought for the lives of Filipinos and American missionaries, not the deaths of the enemy. It was that simple. It was all about life. And there are those among us who will forget the deeds of Colonel Richard Cole, the 100-year-old single surviving member of the Doolittle Raiders, and his 80 compatriots. Men who fought and met the call of our nation. Men who 75 years ago flew a suicide mission from the aircraft carrier Hornet in 16 Army Air Corps B-25 Mitchell bombers. A mission that averaged 2,250 nautical miles and ended with the loss of every single aircraft. Men who gave pride and hope to our nation. Men who survived the suicide mission then continued to fly in the Pacific, the European, and the Mediterranean theaters of operation. May God bless these men of history, and may we never forget their necessary sacrifices for our nation's freedom. Let us understand these sacrifices and appreciate the difficult decisions that had to be made for the greater good. As General Doolittle said to me that sunny day in Monterey, California, "So, son, are you working hard for our nation today?" Now I ask you, are you working hard for our nation today? I know our soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen are doing just that. God bless America. God bless you. Thank you. As we mentioned, we've got a couple individuals here that do great and wonderful things for our veterans. Marty Kuhar is the head of the Veterans Leadership Program of Western Pennsylvania. And he's going to come up and talk a little about what he does working with homeless veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. In general, the Veterans Leadership Program at Western Pennsylvania, what we do is our mission is to work with homeless veterans and potential homeless veterans throughout a 10-county area of the Rural Highlands. Our main office is in Pittsburgh, and we're the satellite office that takes care of the rural counties. We, in general, have 2 federal grants that we work with homeless veterans. The first grant is what we call the SSVF grant, and it deals with rental assistance, utilities, and or vehicle repairs if needed. We basically work with people who are either homeless or potentially homeless, primarily through getting eviction letters or staying at one of our homeless sites, like a Tomorrow's Hope up in Coalport, or in Clearfield County, or in Meckley-Shapley, out in Armstrong County on the other side of Kittanning. Primarily what we work with is people who need help. Now, the other federal grant we have is what we call the HBRP grant, and it's a rural grant, and it deals with job search assistance. Job search assistance dealing with homeless, or again, potentially homeless veterans, and we can help them with, certainly, first of all, do a resume for them, or once they get a job, help them with clothing, tools, boots, bus passes, whatever is needed. And with that, both these grants are dealing with people, good people, believe me. And with that, we have a lot of partners. We're lucky enough to work with all the veterans coordinators at the courthouses, such as Josh here in Cambria County, or all the other counties, or the career links, the veterans representatives in the career links, like in Cambria County, we have 2 great ones, say in Jim Ostanovsky and John Haydu. Or we work with great organizations like Tom at the VCI. But primarily we work with people. Certainly also the office holders will often tell us about an individual who needs help. Primarily keep in mind that sometimes we think homeless veterans are someone living under a bridge in the city of Pittsburgh. But homeless veterans in the rural areas are not living under a bridge as we've known it. They're primarily couch surfing. They're living with families. They're living with buddies. They're living with any place they can because they have no place to go. We also work quite a bit with people who are coming out of the state prison system. For example, a great place, and all of you should eventually visit it, up in Tomorrow's Hope, up in Coldport, Pennsylvania, just 3 miles north of Cambria County. Most of the people there are veterans, and they have come out of the State Department of Corrections system. These are good people that took a wrong turn somewhere along the line. But primarily they need our help, but they need our ability to work with them to get back on the right track. And believe me, they are appreciative. And you would be surprised sometime to find out sometimes people who are very successful, who may have been homeless at one time. So when we think of veterans, there's always a price to pay. The terminology of PTSD just didn't come out of the air. It's people who have been in combat, who are suffering problems. Many times it's substance abuse, whether it's alcohol or drugs. Those things don't go away because you want them to. It's not like quitting smoking or quitting chewing. You can put your Copenhagen can away, but you can't do that with alcohol and drugs. So it's a matter of working with them, and they have a tough road to hoe. But I guarantee you, so many of them are successful. And they're successful because of people like you who care. For people like our office holders, we're so lucky in our area who care. And also for the organizations that we're lucky enough to work with. So with that, I apologize, I have to leave right away. We have a family funeral in Nantiglow, so I'm going to hit the trail. I did leave on the back here some of our brochures and business cards, but feel free to call with anybody you think that may need our assistance. Bottom line is we're located up at the Hiram G. Andrews Center up on Goucher Street, and in fact I'm right up the hallway from Tom and his great organization, VCI. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Keep Marty in mind. We all know individuals that come on hard times or just need a helping hand. Another individual that helps veterans immensely is Tom Caulfield, who works helping veterans get jobs. And all of these veterans events you see in the county when there's 900, 1,000 veterans and, you know, working or showing up and stuff, that's Tom. Tom?
Thank you. I want to thank Doug. What Doug was talking about specifically was our Vietnam Veterans Recognition Ceremony. And I know many of you were there. It was an outstanding event that brought back Vietnam-era veterans to receive a thank you that day, an award, and we worked it in conjunction with the Department of Defense. And as Doug said, it was a massive event, well over 700 individuals at the War Memorial. And what's amazing is, like Doug said, we do a lot of these different programs, but that was the first one I've ever seen with 700 people that we did not get one complaint. And what's amazing, absolutely amazing. But what's worse about it is that many Vietnam veterans, okay, did not feel comfortable because of the way they were treated coming back. Now, this first event that we had in 2015 kind of started healing that. So the veterans, the Vietnam-era veterans from Cambria and Somerset County now have a level of comfortability, and they work closely with us on a number of our different programs. So that was probably the highlight of VCI. Telling you a little bit about VCI, Veteran Community Initiative. As Marty said, we're located at the Hiram G. Andrews Center, 727 Goucher Street. We are a private non-profit organization that was established in 1993. We have a local board of directors. We do all our work in the 14 counties that are serviced by the VA administration, Van Zandt VA administration. Okay. We do a lot of things, and I'm just going to go over quickly some of these programs. I left information out there on the bar, so anyone wanting some flyers or any information about a program we have, it'll be out there. But I'm just going to go through this month of May, okay, what we were doing. Yesterday, maybe many of you did attend, and many of you saw on the TV, we had a Military Spouse Appreciation Day. This is our 9th annual one. And we listened to a young lady by the name of Heather Elliott talk about her husband when he came back from the service and all the difficulties he faces to this day, okay. So, as was mentioned earlier, the family and the spouses in particular are the key of the family, the backbone of the family. So let us not forget that in yesterday's Military Spouse Appreciation Day. Okay. Next year will be our 10th anniversary, and we're going to do it up big. So you'll be hearing a little bit about that. On the 16th, which is Tuesday, there will be a Van Zandt Veteran Roundtable. And what this is the top management from the Van Zandt facility will be over there. They were calling it a town hall. They wanted a little bit more interaction, so they're calling it roundtable. So if you have some, not necessarily even complaints, but some questions that you might want to pose to their leadership over at Van Zandt, be there. It's 4 o'clock at the Hiram G. Andrews Seminar Theater. Okay, and they'll be there to answer your questions. We will also, on the 17th, the next day, VCI just established a Veteran Support Recognition Award. And what this is for those people below the radar that do wonderful things for veterans on an everyday basis. We have a pool already of about 70 people that these individuals will be chosen from. We will have this Support Recognition Award Day just about every 2 months, tied in with a veteran. As Doug had mentioned, the Armed Forces Week is what we'll be doing this in conjunction with on Wednesday. It'll be at the VCI offices at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. And we will be selecting a male and a female that have been doing a lot of work in the veterans field and do make a difference, okay? On the 18th, we've been doing a series of veteran outreach programs because many times the rural veterans do not get the same benefits, even though they're entitled to, because of difficult problems like transportation, etc. So what we've decided to do, and we have many great groups, the County Veteran Affairs Directors, is that we've gone out now into 6 different local counties: Cambridge, Somerset, Bedford, Blair, Indiana, and Huntington. Okay, and we will be going to their most rural type of veterans organization. We'll be bringing our services, the services of the VA, the veterans, the county services, all to anyone that has something to do with veterans. We're bringing them to the rural areas. For example, this Thursday on the 18th, what we will be doing is having it at Shelburne VFW. And if you've ever been in Shelburne VFW, you know that it is rural. Okay. So, and then after that, Indiana will be having at Homer City, American Legion. So that's some of the things we do. An outreach peer mentor training for, an outreach program, veterans outreach program for veterans in rural areas. On the 19th, we will be having Veterans Court Peer Mentor Training. And what that is many of you have probably heard about Veterans Court. That is probably the most significant positive program we've had in veterans benefits in the last 20 years. And basically what it is it's basically an alternative for those that are caught up in the law enforcement area. It's an alternative to punishment and incarceration with rehabilitation and treatment. We started the program in 2013. This is our 4th year. We've graduated over 100, a little bit over 100 people. We have a graduation coming up at the end of the month where we have 11 people are planning on graduating on the 30th. It's an exceptional program, and we're trying to get that into every county in the Commonwealth. On the 20th, we have a Cambria Hero Hike. We're working in conjunction with Cambria County and officials, and we appreciate that. And I'll let Josh talk a little bit about specifics of that. That'll be the 20th next Saturday. So it also takes us 7.2 miles, and I figure that someone that's just a year younger than Marty, I don't know if I could do the 7.2 miles, but I will do some part of it. On the 27th, the Conemaugh Valley Veterans, which is another great group of veterans, all organizations, headed up by Ed Wojnarowski, will be having their annual wreath laying presentation, and we're looking forward to a number of people attending that. We also have, like I had mentioned, different outreaches in the month of June for that, for our rural outreach. We do have July 4th is a great program. We started the first time last year, an organization called the Veterans Breakfast Club out of Pittsburgh puts it on. And what it is veterans getting out, talking a little bit about their experiences, presenting, okay? You do not have to present if you don't want. You don't have to get up and talk into the microphone, or you can. And last year we held the first one at the American Legion up in Richland. We filled that entire back room, 85. So this year we've moved it to the Conemaugh Township Fire Department, and we expect well over 100 people. So if you're around during the 4th of July, okay, it starts at 9 o'clock, Conemaugh Township Memorial Fire Department. And what there'll be is the American Legion up in Richland American Legion. We'll have a full-fledged breakfast, and then we'll start some programs with the Veterans Breakfast Club, and we'll hear stories of all veterans at different times. And we normally have a good turnout of veterans from all different wars. Those are some of the things. August 23rd will also be our 12th annual Veterans Symposium, and that'll be at Hiram G. Andrews Center. None of these events cost anything. We do all of our events at no cost. Okay, so again, that's something that, you know, for another time I'll talk about with regard to funding. But the Veterans Issues Symposium will be on a number of issues from 12:30 to 5 o'clock. Now I know I'm going a little too long, I could talk forever on this, but does anyone have any questions of any of our programs? We do have a number of other programs just right outside on the corner, okay? Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
I took you. Is that good?
Before we get into the award presentation, I'd like to throw a little pitch for both Marty and Tom. Veterans, all their lives, are being told, shut up and just do it. You know, they get an order, execute, make it happen. And so, when a veteran runs into trouble, what does he or she normally think about? Zip it. Keep it internal. Make it happen. If you see a veteran in trouble, it will probably take you approaching the veteran and helping him or her get to that help that he or she needs. Never be afraid of going up to a veteran and saying, let me help you. Don't ask, can I help you? Because the veteran is going to tell you what?
No, I'm all right.
I'm fine. Don't worry about me. It's all good. Okay? Make sure that you have a way to contact Tom or Marty and the next individual, Josh Hauser. Pardon? Oh. The next individual, Josh Hauser, is the veteran rep here for Cambria County. He's going to be reading these awards, and we'll be handing them out at this time. Josh, how's your reading skills?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Come on up here then.
I did want to just make mention, thanks everybody for coming out here. I'm not going to go into everything that we do. I'll be available after. I just wanted to say on behalf of the commissioners, Chernisky and Smith, that are here, and Commissioner Wissinger, who couldn't make it, thank you so much. They do nothing but support us, and anytime I say, guys, can we get out to this veteran event, they're on it. They can't get here fast enough. I did want to relay one thing. We have 16 certificates here, and as I was going through them this morning, I have a little history with a name that pops up. So I was putting them in alphabetical order, and I came across a name that I haven't come across in a while, but I thought about. And that was Sergeant Christopher Golby. Chris was killed in Iraq in 2004. When I was with the Fleet Hometown News Center at the time in Norfolk, Virginia, I remember seeing the casualty report come across, because that's what I did down there. And I saw Sergeant Christopher Golby, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and I thought, wow, I'm from Johnstown. I'm gearing up to go to Iraq. Those casualty reports often note that casualty assistance officers are en route to the family. I tell you what, that takes a toll thinking about that. But Chris isn't just a name that's like recurred over the years. I grew up in Mineral Point, a proud Blue Jay. That's why I went to 5th grade, so I love seeing you guys here. In 5th grade, my family moved and I went to Richland. That's where I met Chris Golby. And Chris and I used to do stupid teenager stuff. He was smart, I wasn't. But we were both dumb enough to share cigarettes in the boys' room. I was at my school yesterday for an interview. It's Penn Highlands Community College now, but it was the old Richland High School. And I just real quick wanted to walk those halls. And sure enough, I was standing outside of that bathroom yesterday, thinking of Chris. And then this morning, I see his name again. So I just wanted to relay what it means to be a veteran community and that realness to who we are and the stories that we want to tell. So, by all means, Colonel, let's do this now.
You got it. Let's start reading.
Where we got him at, gentlemen? Oh, the certificates are in there. Okay. Okay, the first one is...
Josh, you can read each one individually, what's written on them, and then pass them out.
Do you want me to read the citation?
The citation, each one, yeah, the first one only.
Okay.
Yeah, just,
Oh, the first one. Okay.
we're going to read one time so that you don't hear it the same thing 15, 20 times.
Okay, so certificate of recognition for Melanie Jones Barger. In recognition of the military service of Lance Corporal Melanie Jones Barger, U.S. Marine Corps Heavy Construction Battalion. It is with sincere gratitude that we, the Commissioners of Cambria County, hereby acknowledge Melanie's service and commitment to her country. Signed by the Board of Commissioners, Thomas Chernisky, B.J. Smith, Mark J. Wissinger.
attested by Mike Gellis, the chief clerk. Melanie here?
I will be accepting that from him.
There's more there. There's more.
Yeah, we'll get the next one
Yeah.
now.
I mean, there's more certificates.
I
in
know,
one.
I know, there's 3 or 4 certificates per.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had some late sign-ups as well. So Mr. John Gindelsberger, is he available? Just want to recognize his service and ensure you we will get you your certificate. Okay. Mr. Senator. Okay. And this one here, I think it was, I don't know if Chris's family's here. I think Senator Langerholt was going to receive that for Sergeant Christopher Colby, so we'll set that one up to the side as well. Sergeant John F. Groman. Okay. We're going to have to track these guys down. What happened?
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you read it? Yeah. We're gonna catch up on the other ones. He's not here.
This one here? Okay. Mr. Charles Gutsky, we honor your service, your courage, and most of all your sacrifices, your dedication to the United States of America, its ideals, its military, it's commendable. It is an honorable addition to the freedom you bravely fought and worked for, not only for families in America, but throughout the world. With heartfelt gratitude, Laurel Highlands Historical Village. Mr. Gutsky here?
His grandson is here.
Well, come on up. You got to take a
Zach, right? Zach, thanks so much. Make sure. I'll try to do it. There's a couple more that we will get read here in a minute. Back here. Notice there's 3 more. Okay. Well, we got to read some of these others. Okay. They're all different. So we'll read them, these ones.
Here we go. This one's from the House of Representatives.
Thank you.
Certificate of Appreciation to Mr. David Gutsky, Staff Sergeant, 1st 103rd Armored Division. This certificate is issued to demonstrate our sincere appreciation for your commitment to the United States military and dedication to defending the United States of America. Attested to in the counties of Cambria and Somerset and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and certified with the affixed signature, Representative Brian Barbin, House of Representatives, 71st Legislative District.
And we'll get the last one here. And then I think that'll be.
Certificate of Recognition to Mr. David Gutsky, Staff Sergeant, 1st of the 103rd Armored Division. In recognition of your service to this great country, please accept this certificate as a token of our thanks and appreciation. Your honored service to this country in a time of unparalleled need can never be forgotten. We as Americans will always owe a debt of gratitude to the men and women who fought for this country. Attested to in the counties of Cambria and Somerset and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and certified with the signature affixed, Frank Burns, House of Representatives, 72nd Legislative District.
And I tricked you, I think there's one more. I think the senator has something there, right?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, hold on, he's got a booklet in here. State of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, PA. Certificate of Recognition presented to Mr. David Gutsky, United States Army. Since the birth of our nation, brave men and women have stood ready to defend our freedom and democracy for our good as well as for the succeeding generations. Let us never forget those sacrifices and keep alive the legacy of your generation. Your honored service to this country in a time of unparalleled need can never be forgotten. We as Americans will always owe a debt of gratitude to the men and women who fought for this country. Although this certificate could never embody the amount of gratitude you deserve for the dedication and heroism exhibited by you and your comrades, on behalf of a grateful nation and the citizens of this Commonwealth, we in the Pennsylvania General Assembly thank you. Dated May 13, 2017, Wayne Langerholt Jr., State Senator, 35th District.
David?
Right, so this is Mr. Ernest Gutsky.
His daughter.
There you go.
And James Gutsky. Mr. John Gutsky. And Paul Gutsky. Just another mention, came a little bit late, we'll get him a certificate, is Mr. Dale Haller. Mr. Philip Liptak. Mr. Doug Yonker.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Mr. Steven Zimmerman. Is there a Mr. Samuel Zimmerman? No? Okay. Ronald G. Shawley. I don't know how he's going to take his own picture over there, but Mr. Ronald J. Shawley. Then we just had one more mention as well. Mr. Fred Schreckengross? Schreckengoss? Did I say that right?
Schreckengoss.
Okay. But we'll get your citation as well, sir. Thank you, everybody. Do I get a report?
Well, no, just have them come up and they can, you can.
I know who they are.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I was gonna hand them out. You wanted to do anything about the flags?
Yeah, the flags, they can just come up and get the flags, right?
We'll do that after the ceremony?
After the
Okay.
ceremony.
Thanks so much.
They're gonna do half, we'll do this afterwards.
All right. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at a conclusion here. What we're going to do is we're going to have a closing prayer, and then after the prayer, the Marine Corps League will fold the United States flag and then taps. So when we have, after the prayer, please rise for the folding of the United States flag. Do we have the benediction? No. There you go. Thank you, Calvin.
Yeah, put it on the audience.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all these people together that we could remember the veterans that have served this country and have kept giving us the opportunity to maintain our freedom. And we just ask your blessings upon all the members that are represented here, all the families that are represented here, and that God will continue to shed his light on us as we bring this service to a close. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. I'd ask the Marine Corps League to come
forward.
For those of you that can, if you please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. Thank you very much for coming. Plenty more things coming up today. Have a great day. God bless.
Thank you. Let's have a big shout out to the people from Rocky's Tavern. Rocky's Tavern. Thank you for letting us have this.
Yeah.
If you're a veteran, we've got a gift up here for you. I know the paper doesn't do much for you, but we've got a little gifty here. Before you did.
I'm running for commissioner. How you doing?